The Nightfolk are a mysterious group of killers deep within the Nwa Bayou, decorating the place with skulls, dismembering horses, and luring strangers into ambushes. This is a deep dive into the culture and the people of the Nightfolk in Red Dead Redemption 2. The name Bayou Noir is our first hint into the culture Rockstar pulled from for this area. Noir and Laquais are Haitian Karoli words, Noir meaning black and Laquais meaning home. Within the Black Bayou, there are many oddities. A tiny church, a strange cabin for a strange man, voodoo of all sorts, even a fortune teller who tells us ominous things.
The time of man came and went as all things pass.
Symbols like these not only have significance in game, but also have significance in Haitian voodoo. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but as far as my research goes, this symbol is related to Palo Mayombe, which shows up twice in game. There are 3 trees around the bayou that have these types of symbols, and the other 2 are clearly the Veve for Ogun, which is a Loa who is said to like machetes as offerings in preparation for possession. Although none of these things came up as particularly negative in my research, if we go across the map, we find a pagan ritual. These symbols seem to be similar to those back at the bayou, although this is the first time we see this symbol on the ground. If you happen to Google the word Ogun, you'll find not only the symbol for Ogun, but many pictures of a man wearing a skull mask with horns. But some of these markings aren't just similar, they are the exact same at the bottom and the top of the main rock. If we take a stroll through the gorgeous Nwa Bayou, we can get a strong sense that we are at a disadvantage here. It's hard to see, and it feels like you're being watched from all angles. And if you venture too far, you may come across unnerving things out there in the wilderness. There are a handful of experiences you can have with the Nightfolk themselves. 2 of them involve approaching victims of hangings. Encountering either will startle your horse, so make sure to calm him down. When I first came across these, I thought maybe this guy did something wrong or somebody hates him. But as you inspect what's really going on, silent killers will pop up from the bushes behind you and ambush you. If you shoot down the victim and loot his corpse, you will find a note that reads, "If you find this, I am dead. The Nightfolk haunted my dreams, and now they haunt my waking hours too. I've tried to evade them, but it is only a matter of time, I feel, before I am bested. The silence is overwhelming. Pray for me." That shows a clear understanding of the dangers with the Nightfolk, but this next letter gives us an idea of the legend to outsiders. Dear Parker, if you believe that these Nightfolk are a thing of fantasy, then you will have no qualms about spending an entire evening from sundown to sunrise out in the bayou. If you can, then your fraternity brothers pledge to give you $50 for your efforts, which we hope will be returned to us in steak and wine at one of the finest eating houses in Saint Denis. You are braver than me. Tales of their silent, creeping, ghoulish murderousness make my blood run cold. My spine is trembling at the mere image of it. Good luck, and I look forward to hearing you tell the tale, if you make it back, that is. May fortune favor you. Chuck. These are not the only encounters we can have with the Nightfolk. There is a rare one with a wagon, and if you come across it on your horse will buck you off and run away, and if you inspect the wagon, you'll see why. This is a completely dismembered and disfigured corpse of a horse sitting on a wagon next to a fire. You have to wonder who did this. In this area, it's usually common to get bucked off your horse because of all the crocodiles. So you're kinda used to going after your horse after it's ran away. This might be a reach, but I'm reminded of the tribes in Africa that use clicking to communicate. Maybe further connecting the link between the culture that is around the bayou to the Haitian voodoo that originated from Africa. Continuously on the lookout, I went deeper into the bayou, while hearing things from all around me. Every time I approached my horse, it got spooked and ran further into the trees. And you have to be as quick as possible, as this is one of the 4 mobs in the game that can instantly kill you. Weapons powered by poison and God knows what else. You can only imagine what they were trying to do to my horse. And in some cases, you can find your horse to be killed by the Nightfolk from this encounter. We are not the only ones to know about the Nightfolk, as shown in the victim's letters. But even John can talk to someone all the way over by Beecher's Hope in the epilogue about them. And they share similar experiences to us.
I know not to judge a book by its cover, but all you can do is just go with your gut, and failing that, go with your gun. It takes a lot to spook me. Probably the worst night I ever spent was in the Lemoyne Bayou near Saint Denis. I was camping out there probably about 2 years back now, and I heard people talk about these Nightfolk living in the swamps around those parts, like feral, barely human, preying on travelers. But you know, every place has these tales, so you learn not to pay them too much heed. But soon as night fell, it started. Figures in the trees all around me making the most horrible noises, closing in on me. All I could do was keep yelling and firing off shots from my rifle. Dawn has never come slower. And when it did, I hightailed it out of there as fast as I could. Never seen anything like that before or since.
At closer inspection, we can see the eyes of the Nightfolk are white, giving off a feeling of possession. Interesting enough, one carries a machete. They wear beads similar to those at camp and look as if they were once fishermen or even gunslingers. They carry guns, machetes, knives, bows, torches, and hatchets. The biggest thing connecting them to the symbols around is the white paint on their body. We can gather more information about the Nightfolk and the culture if we go into the heart of the camp in Lekay. Looking like it was once a farm of sorts, we are greeted by skulls on the pathway up to it. If we poke around, we find a ritual in a shack that has candles, a skull, cross, hair tonic, maybe liquor. And at the centerpiece, a painting of Irzoli Dantor, a main Loa in Haitian voodoo. Although not connected in real life to anything particularly negative, does give some background into the culture around these parts. Next to the cross is a little capsule that we can shoot, and if we do, a shrunken head is shown inside. I'll give a little bit more of my own theory with this later. Showing how far gone this place actually is, one of the sheds is half underwater and we can find a cat skull that you can put on for all of your cat skull needs. Finally, we have the main house. We find animal skulls, candles, beads, and fabric across the tables. Particularly interesting is the painting on the other side of the room. A woman dancing around a fire holding a snake with people around her and a table in front with candles that are still lit. At first glance, this is easy to connect the show in Saint Denis. A fire dancer with similar paintings behind her and a dancer with a snake at another show. But this is also very similar to a real-life painting in the New Orleans Museum of Voodoo. And the title of that painting, Le Grand Zombie. You tell me what we're supposed to make of that. In the back of the house, we find a bed with colorful sheets and a dresser with a ton of candles. Walking outside, we are greeted with a beautiful view. So what's really going on here? Why are such a powerful and mysterious group of people like the Nightfolk even here? Why is there a tiny church about 30 steps away from that place? Why all the symbols? This is where I give a little bit of my own theory. It seems like the bayou itself is a hotspot for voodoo activity, and maybe a few rituals didn't go right, and negativity or even black magic started taking over the members of that camp. Maybe, and I know I sound crazy with this one, maybe they were shrinking heads and accidentally shrunk the church. Why else would a church be built in perfect smaller proportion, even the cross and the seats, only to be abandoned in the same way the regular camp was? This is all conjecture, but this is not all the evidence we have to piece the story together. Sometimes in the dead of night, you will hear a woman crying. If you approach her to see what's going on, you're given the option to help. The woman will spring up and reveal themselves to be a man and attack you or run away, while other members of the Nightfolk come out of the darkness and ambush you all at once.
Creepy bastards.
You can even catch two Nightfolk carrying a victim calmly to the water, and if you loot her, there isn't any clues or anything. I decided to follow these guys for about 15 minutes IRL time to see what they do. They took me on a nice long walk through Lemoyne, looping through paths, and finally when I had enough, I got close to them. They seemed like they weren't too bothered until I got too close. They started running after me, and I ran away, though I leveraged a wagon, started to bull, and I got a strike. These guys had nothing out of the ordinary on them, but I did get their bow. I checked for jewelry with the paint on their body, but it's mostly just randomly placed. Although they do carry jewelry that connects them with the camp. If you select their bodies, they're marked as strangers. While filming this video, I found an encounter that wasn't talked about too much online. Someone was carrying a torch in the bayou, and I thought this was another body to be dumped situation, but when I approached, my horse threw me off, and I was ambushed from behind while they clicked at each other. With even one of these encounters, you can trigger a mission from a stranger named the Old Cajun, who tells us that the Nightfolk have taken his land and he needs help getting it back. Even though this is the only mission with the Nightfolk, we get valuable information out of it.
Nightfolk. I can look after myself.
Okay.
Maybe you should clear out, though, if you're so troubled about things of the night.
It's Nightfolk, and I would. It's just they on my property. Would you help me?
Boy, I'm lucky I ain't dead as it is. Nightfolk. Oh, they bad people. Animals, a lot of them. You know, I ain't never heard no Nightfolk speak. There's not been one peep out of no Nightfolk. Not that I ain't heard it, at least. Used to be, the gators was the worst thing in the bayou. Gators and snakes. I've been snake bit more times I like to remember. Ain't been gator bit, though.
Interesting that he says that he remembers a time where the gators were the worst thing. Almost like making the Nightfolk a new thing despite the deterioration of the camp.
Oh, hell. Look at that. He fresh. You see what I mean? This Nightfolk work. I knew this feller didn't deserve this. Now come on.
We gain information that these Nightfolk are putting people to death with seemingly no purpose, just killing and then leaving the killing on display. It makes me wonder what possesses them to do that. With details like this candle being on even during the day, but these candles being off and then on at night, you have to wonder what's really going on.
Poor feller on the tree been here for years. You think it's bad being a dead feller on a tree? It's worse when you're a live one with a stick through you. There we go. Up there. Nightfolk up to all sorts. You go deal with them.
I think it's interesting that there's no particular MO with these people. They kind of just kill to kill, and people like that need to be dealt with, and Arthur Morgan's the one to do it.
Hey.
You got him all right. The place is ours. Come get your reward.
We do kill off a lot of Nightfolk here, and there's even a second wave, so you have to think that this is actually a real people.
Oh, no. More. Devils. Okay, they're dead.
Well, well. Okay. I got something for you now. Here you go, partner.